Okay, I'd like to start the Jamaica Selectboard meeting to order. Let's see, what did we do last year? Did we do the organizational part first?
Yeah.
I think we do that first. Okay, it was an error on my part. We should have, on the agenda, it should have said it's our organizational meeting, which I apologize for that. So does everybody have a town report?
I don't have mine.
Okay, let me...
Mine's upstairs.
All right, there's some on the table if you want to go get three, so that we can all go down the same line here.
What page you on?
Page 3.
Okay.
But we're not going to start with appointments. We have to start with our section first. We need a motion for appointment of a chair of the select board, please.
I nominate Alexa for the chair.
Are there any other nominations?
You want to be chair, Lowell?
No, thank you.
How about you?
Oh, no, thanks. That's doing a
I
great
second it then.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Alexa Clark, chair of the Jamaica Select Board. Next is vice chair. I'd like to nominate Lou Busso.
I'd second that. Do you want to be the vice chair?
Oh, thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, can we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded?
I second.
Can I move by the motion?
Yeah, I second
I think so.
Okay, good.
it.
Okay. Let's see. We have a,
Once you make a nomination,
that's right. Okay, next is transfer station. Transfer station, what's the word I want?
Supervisor?
Supervisor.
Feel like a supervisor?
well, are you interested in doing it?
No.
No, I meant, was looking at Andy.
Oh,
Andy,
Andy.
would you
We
like
have
to?
your hair down this year.
One more year, okay, it's fine.
I'll tag along for another year.
Okay.
Okay, so,
OJT.
Okay.
okay, so Lou Busso will be the transfer station supervisor. Do we have a motion for that?
Is that the right word?
Nomination of,
Nomination.
yeah.
No, I'm talking about the supervisor part.
Yeah, that's
It's close, yes, that's fine.
Right. I second that.
Okay.
Overseer.
Overseer would be good. You get a whip.
Overseer, supervisor.
Overseer.
Supervisor.
Too many bad connotations to that word.
I hold this job.
Okay, next, who else do we have?
Road Commissioner.
Road commissioners. I would suggest that it's just a suggestion, that the board become the road, which we can do, become the road commissioner for the highway department. And because it's so hard sometimes for the highway guys to just get a hold of that one person, this way he or she could get a hold of whoever, one of the select board members, and then we can make sure we pass the word along and get that information a lot quicker than having somebody try to call one person and they're not home or something like that. They could call anybody that's available. What, does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I'm thinking that Keith has stepped up to the plate so well as highway
Road
road foreman, that I don't think we need to have one person oversee him in a strong way like I
Right.
think we need to do in the past. So I think that's a good idea. What I would recommend, though, is that we ask Keith to come at least to one every other meeting, perhaps
Okay, once a month to a meeting.
once a month, either choose the second or the fourth week as his regular meeting to come.
Okay.
Because I think without a single road commissioner, I think we need to interact with him a little bit more.
Right, so he'll know where everybody's coming from. Okay, I'll contact him
Does
tomorrow.
that make sense?
What about, do we lose the selectman?
You don't know that?
No, we don't know that yet.
Does he become a selectman?
Who?
Keith.
No, no. You don't have to be a selectman to be road commissioner. But he's not road commissioner. We're looking at him to be the foreman.
Keith's the road foreman.
Road
Or
foreman.
foreman? Oh, that's what you're... I
No,
thought-
commissioner.
Right.
And usually
What
it's,
about Brian is doing?
Brian was the road commissioner,
Yes.
and we're gonna change it to, since Keith is doing such a good job, and the other two folks working with him are, that the whole select board could be the road commissioner, and then have him come to a meeting once a month to let us know what's going on, and if he has any questions for us, or we have any questions for them.
It gives us as a group an opportunity to give him some direction as well.
Right.
Does it add to his duties as road foreman, his pay duties? I mean,
I
is he
suspect he will get
obligated
paid for coming to our
to
meeting.
those, but is he gonna, is all what Brian or the past road commissioners? will
No, he's not
be-
gonna be the road commissioner.
Okay.
No.
No.
I think the way it used to work with a single-man road commissioner would then go to the town highway department and meet with him
Okay,
and discuss
all right.
how things are going. Since we wouldn't have a single one, I'm suggesting that he come here. So we can then, as a group, give him direction.
He wouldn't be, have all kinds of other new duties that
No,
he
No.
wasn't compensated for.
no.
No, he's still the
Okay.
road foreman, and instead of one person on the select board being the road commissioner,
Right.
to go every morning to the highway department or tell them what to do and
Right.
what not to do. Keith is doing a good job, and he's up on things, that have him come to one of our meetings every month to give us an update of what's happening, and then we can tell him what we expect of him and what he expects of the town.
Yeah, my only thought on this is I'm just kind of generally concerned about having one guy have to be managed by a group. It's tricky for a lot of things. He's doing a great job. I understand our circumstances, so I'm not going to vote against it. But generically, I would like to have some filter between the select board and the road foreman.
Usually, in the past, because Brian was hard to get a hold of,
Yeah.
Keith would contact me,
Because you.
and then I would contact you folks, say, okay, this is Keith has called me on this, you know, what do we do? Or we can give another person that job to do. He can contact Lou, have him
Yeah.
contact Lou, and say, okay, this is, and then Lou can contact the rest of us. We can work it out that way there.
Maybe the thing to do is to do it on a trial basis, just to keep our options open later.
You can do
Just in
that.
case it looks like it's difficult for him and for all of us to rather than he doesn't know which one to call.
To call. Okay.
Just,
So 2 times a month? Or
No,
what
no.
did you say, once a month? 2 times?
Well, we have 2 meetings a month. People would come to one of them.
One a month, right.
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 And then the loss of the selectmen is another issue.
We don't have that yet.
Right.
Okay, so I'll have Lou, I'll contact Keith tomorrow and tell him what we've done, and that you'll be the contact person, Lou.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, we have a motion on that?
I guess I move that the select board as a whole act as the road commissioner, allowing the public to contact any of us regarding road issues rather than just a single person.
Because sometimes somebody might be able to get a hold of you on a road issue that they can't, if the highway department isn't open, or you, or somebody. It's easier.
Did you get that, Ed, in the form of a motion? What you said?
I'm not writing the motions out, I'm just putting
Okay.
people.
Okay.
So I'll move it.
Okay, we have a second?
Yes, I'm second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Okay, Chair. Did I miss anybody?
You had the sheriff's liaison.
Oh, Sheriff's Liaison.
Maybe sheriff's police.
I was the sheriff's liaison. I don't mind doing that
Emergency management coordinator, I think.
if somebody, unless somebody else wants to be the sheriff's liaison.
I think that's a good task for you, since you know the
We know you would.
sheriff's department real well.
You know me by first name, not by picture.
Oh, that's on the wall. So you need to refer to that.
Oh, okay.
It's the number of posters.
That's the
Yeah,
number.
that's probably a good picture of you.
If that's
No.
a short
Good
position or
things.
something.
You keeping that job? Will?
Yes. Okay.
Alexa, do we need to appoint an emergency management coordinator?
That's down here where we do the appointed officials.
Okay, got it.
Okay, are we all through with our part, the select board part of it?
Don't you have to do graveyards?
What?
They're here in the appointed officials, yeah?
Oh, you're still the Wyndham Solid Waste.
That would be the appointed.
Yeah. Okay, I think we needed one motion for the sheriff's liaison.
I make a motion, Alexa continues as sheriff's liaison.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so. Okay, did I miss anybody, or are we all set on this part, Lou?
I think we're all set.
All set, okay. Now we'll go to the appointed officials. These are one-year terms unless otherwise noted. Fence viewers, there's Stephen Clark, Peter Andrews, and Arnold Young. And we can make a motion at the end of all our appointments, not for each one. What is your pleasure on that?
Yeah, I would recommend that if all three are willing to serve, we appoint them for another term.
Okay.
Second.
I have the names again.
Steve Clark, Peter Andrews, and Arnie Young.
Okay. Copy of the,
Oh, okay.
I would just mark the changes.
oh, you have a copy of it.
All right, next is animal control officers. Robert Will is the first constable, has been the animal control officer. I think we should probably, he didn't say he didn't want to be it, so I guess we can leave him as our animal control officer. Surveyor of wood, lumber, and layers of coal.
I thought that might come out of here, some of that.
It's a position that's vacant, and I guess we can leave that vacant for now. Tree warden. Ben Williams has been our tree warden. What is your pleasure on?
So I would recommend Ben again.
Okay. All right, now we have the cemetery sextons. East Jamaica is Bruce Chapin. Jamaica Village. Well, Jamaica Village Cemetery is really a privately owned cemetery. It's not owned by the town. So that really, we don't appoint anybody for the Jamaica Village Cemetery. Because they have their own bylaws and their own meetings.
Bruce, as I recall, is president of that organization.
I believe he is, yes. And I think he is the sexton too of that
Who does it belong
cemetery.
to?
Pardon me?
Who does it belong to?
It's a privately owned cemetery.
Oh,
When the Baptist church, which owned that cemetery, when it dissolved, it sold the building to the Masonic Hall, and then it created a public entity called the Pleasantville
Pleasantview Cemetery.
oh.
And so it's a private organization that manages that cemetery.
And they have their own board, and they have their own meetings, and they raise their own money. And they don't get any money from the town. They raise the money up by themselves. Okay, so
Steve and Bruce do most of the work, and they do a good job.
'cause Lou, you're on that committee too.
Yes, I am.
South Wyndham Cemetery is Bruce Chapin. West Jamaica is Brian Chapin. South Hill is Brian Chapin. And Pikes Falls is Brian Chapin. And Rossonville is Nelson Coleman. What is your pleasure?
If they,
I haven't heard from anybody that they didn't want to, and they've been doing it for quite a while and seem to know
This may cause hard feelings, but Joe Granis has been wanting to do the Wyndham one
The South Wyndham one?
for years because his son's buried.
Okay. What do we do in a situation like that?
Could we,
Should we?
I don't think he's
Sorry,
expecting it, I just throw it out
Right.
there, he's wanted to do that.
I would think that we first have to speak to Bruce, but then I would think anyone who would want it would have to come to the board and say so, or submit a letter.
Or submit a letter, I was going to say to submit a letter to,
That would give us then standing to contact Bruce, I think.
right. So maybe for next year,
Hmm.
Mr. Granis could put a letter in earlier. And then we can make a decision for the next year's. Okay. So, what is your pleasure on the cemetery sextons?
I think absent any indication from the other, from the incumbents, I think we should maintain this list.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, we're gonna, do the final motion at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Town service officer is Paul Fraser. Do you still want that
I don't mind.
position? Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Well, actually, the biggest thing that we would pass out money from Salvation Army. That's what
And the health officer is Andrew Coyne, and his, till September 30th, and then he'll get something from the state, and the town clerk will get something from the state, and that's, if there's a change, we change it then.
if someone else is interested,
Right.
I'd be glad to let them have at it. But as of now, I'll
You're
stay.
still on, okay. All right. And emergency management coordinator is Paul Fraser. Do you still want, are you still interested in that position, or is anybody else interested in that position? You got it.
That's a tough position.
It's getting easier as we stop having disasters.
Till the next storm, huh?
Exactly.
He'll know what to do now. I have faith. Rescue Inc. rep. Last month, Wynn Clark came and talked about Rescue Inc., that they needed a representative from Jamaica. After town meeting, Stuart Barker approached me and stated that he will serve on the, at least for this year, as a Rescue Inc. representative.
All
That's
right.
good. Good, excellent.
So Stuart Barker will be our Rescue Inc. representative. So if there's any questions about that, we can contact him. The energy coordinator is Chris Clark. What is your pleasure?
Okay.
Okay, floodplain zoning administrator is Valerie Pantorno. What is your pleasure?
Again, absent any reasons,
Right. I would just like to see, when we're working with Valerie, because when she took it, it was new, and I know it's still new, and there's a lot of things that go on that are way above what a lot of us know and don't know about the floodplain regulations. And I would like to make sure, for the benefit of the town, that we work with her to make sure that everything is going accordingly after what happened with Water Street homes and stuff like that. So that we won't be wasting a lot of time looking up things that the answer might be right there in front of us. So we'll work with her closely.
sure.
Okay?
There's also a chair of the zoning.
The flood zoning?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I used to be that.
Okay, so she's just the administrator, there is a chair of the...
No,
Okay, I guess I've
she's
lost
the
you.
administrator.
She's the administrator, she
And she actually
just gives the permits out?
works, actually, I think, for the zoning board of adjustment. Does that make sense?
Yes. And who is our zoning board of adjustment?
I don't know, because
Don't
I'm
say.
not that anymore.
Right. Okay, we're gonna have to look into that. Oh, right here, we're on
Yes,
the
that's
planning
the
commission and zoning board of
rule of
adjustments.
Yeah, I
You're
was
right.
one of them.
Because that's the planning commission, basically.
Yeah.
The planning commission and zoning board of adjustment, they work
Right.
together.
Yeah,
So she actually
yeah,
should be looking to them.
yes. As a matter of fact, she came to one or two meetings when I asked her to do that, to explain to us what was going on. But I agree with you that there are times that we really need to know what's going on, and we don't. So I think there needs to be more direct contact, either with the chair of the zoning board or you guys directly. But she's doing a lot of work, and we don't really have a handle on what's going on.
Okay, so I will contact Valerie. I'll see her maybe Thursday. She's here Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
And contact her and go over that with her.
Yeah.
If anybody has any other ideas, or is that all right with the rest of you?
She's good at her job.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be
Right, but she might need some,
She's very good. She knows what she's doing, and
just to make sure that everybody else knows what's going on.
That's-
Basically,
that's-
that's what it is. So if somebody asks us a question, we know
Right.
what the answer is. Okay, does that sound like a
Yes.
fair thing for Valerie?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, Wyndham Regional Commissioner, Elaine Beckwith had resigned last year. So there's two positions that are vacant. Did David Mink, did he ever,
I asked him, and he wasn't sure yet, so I don't think he's made a decision about doing that. Is that your understanding, Ed?
I wasn't in on the conversations with him, so I don't know.
Beckman? Is
David
that-
Mink?
Mink.
Mink?
Yeah, about being Wyndham Regional.
I didn't talk to him about it, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, when does the planning commission meet again?
Next week?
Next week, the
Yeah.
18th?
It should be the middle, yeah.
Should be the
18th,
18th,
okay.
Yeah,
All right, so maybe I'll come to their meeting and find out,
yeah,
rather than call him. I'll come to the meeting and see if he's still interested in it, and then we'll have to post the position on the bulletin board and around town to see if anybody else is interested, or if anybody talks to anybody and they're interested in being on the Wyndham Regional Commission, they can contact one of us or contact somebody from the planning commission, and we'll set them and talk to the right person that will tell them exactly what goes on and how much time it'll take. Okay, planning commission and zoning board of adjustment. We have Judy Flower, James Todd, Edward Flower, Christina Legg, Greg Newlands, and David Mink.
yeah. I had talked to you about not
Yeah,
wanting to
we're
be
both
on the planning
off
commission.
Right, you resigned on town meeting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to state how well served we were for your and Ed's involvement in that.
For how long?
Well,
A
for
long
me,
time.
since 2006, I was determined that I was going to be on it as long as the plan was not finished, and when it was finished, then I decided it was time to give them up.
Okay,
So we started another plan.
right, and
Yeah,
speaking
and
of,
actually you have to, when you begin, you start right away.
right, and
Yeah,
speaking
5
of
years.
that plan, I did email it to Wyndham Regional,
Good.
and it's in their hands now, so I think that
Yeah, we don't need them to
prove it, but they should,
I think it's good.
it's good for them to look at, so
Yeah.
we're okay with that. Does anybody know of anybody that would like to be on the planning commission? We'll have to,
But I think that maybe one of the things we need to post.
we'll probably have to post that too.
Yeah.
Recreation Committee, Matthew Winkler, Julie Lowe, Valerie Bills, Carrie Lane, Charlie Pearson, Caroline Person, and Becky Tolbert. And they're sort of a new group that just started last year, and I believe that it's still the same folks. Okay, the Village Beautification Committee, Karen Ammon, Margaret Sylvia, and Jennifer Connor. I haven't heard anything different from them. Usually it's the flowers that are on the bridge. And speaking of the bridge, they had the Christmas wreaths that were donated from the Stone Boat in Fellas, and I took them down today because Christmas is over and whatnot. I tried to drag it on as long as I could. So they did look nice for the holidays.
Did we thank them?
Yes, I did. By letter. No. Thank you, no. Pikes Falls Committee, Ralph Coleman, Glenn Gibson, Toby Schwartz, and Clara Robinson. And they can be left the same. Nobody's wanted to do that. Okay, Justice of the Peace, they're up till 2015, so we don't have to act on that. Fire Warden, Stuart Barker.
Is that till 7/12 or since 7/12? He's been a fire warden longer than that.
Right.
He's supposed to be up.
I don't have that answer. I'll have to check into that and find that answer out. But he did not say he did not want to be the fire warden, so we can appoint him fire warden. And he appoints I believe he appoints his assistant. Am I wrong or right on that?
I have no idea.
Do you know, Lou?
Nope, I have no idea.
Okay, well, just for safety's sake, we'll appoint Joel Beckwith.
Okay.
And if Stuart changes it, that'll be in next year's. Okay, 911 address coordinator is Erica Bowman. Nobody else has come up for that. Town Hall Committee, Joe Granis, Laura Clark, Susanna Granis, Jeffrey Cooner, and David Heisler. Jeffrey is gone, moved away. We haven't really, I can't remember who's on that committee. Do you remember, any of you folks remember? I know Joe Granis is.
When I was talking to your daughter the other night, she said something about joining us on the committee. Is this the committee she's on?
Well, I'm not,
Because you're talking about coming up with plans to, for music fest, the events that to kind of push
yeah,
it over
somebody
summer.
else is in charge of the events. Joe Granis is in charge of events with setting up events.
Okay, so I couldn't tell if she was talking about the town hall committee or if there's another committee
I think there's town hall committees.
that has to do with.
No, he's not on anymore. I did see Joe Granis today, and he said that they did get a couple more people that were interested, but he didn't say who they were.
He said they were young.
So that would be good.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll leave Joe Granis, Laura Clark, Susanna Granis, and David Heisler on it for now, unless things change, they come to us. Now, Old Home Day Committee, that's a whole new ballgame because new folks are taking it over. And I'll have to contact Bob Stone to find out who is on that committee, because I know these folks probably aren't, or if they are, I don't know which ones of them are still on it. So I'll contact him and get some names for that. Council on Aging is Tony Gomet. And I think that's...
Except for the, as Andy asked about.
Which one?
It's never in the book, is the Woodland Solid Waste Management District supervisor
right.
and alternate.
Probably should have been with our Women Solid Waste. That should have been with our select board stuff.
Well, actually, no, it should be in with the appointed positions.
Appointed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's been tradition that a select board member has done it, but Doesn't
It
have to
should,
be.
it should be appointed, oh, okay. All right, Wyndham Solid Waste.
Kind of like emergency management coordinator.
Okay. Lou is our contact personnel
Supervisor.
supervisor. Are you, do you still,
I'm willing to serve another year.
okay.
Andy has been our alternate.
Will be an alternate, okay. Okay,
And we have to have something in writing submitted to them.
okay, like we did last year.
Every year it has to be submitted in writing from the board.
Okay, do you have your old letter by
I
any
can find
chance?
it.
If you
I can
find
get
that, I'll look and see if I have it. I don't know, but if you do, then, or we'll have a
Contact.
copy of it here too. That we
I'll
can-
contact the clerk and see if she can get us.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else that I've missed for appointments? Okay, all right, so can we have a motion to approve all the appointments stated?
I would move that we continue, no, we reappoint the individuals as listed on the appointed town officials on page 3 of
Town clerk.
the town report as amended by this evening's discussion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. All right, thank you. Next is to approve the minutes of the February.
Hold on
I'm
one
sorry.
second.
Did I
One more item we
second?
have to do as part of the organization. We
Minutes.
have to name a newspaper of record.
Oh, that's right, too. Brattleboro Reformer.
That's
We've
been our
had,
newspaper.
that's been our newspaper. We tried another one at one time, but
Remember that?
we have to go with the Brattleboro Reformer.
Actually, when you said it right there.
Especially. You could move that camera a little bit.
You can take a shot at Chris. He's
Make it famous.
That little redness in his face right now.
he is a
I can edit that out.
Chris. Chris Mace is a wonderful contact person for the Reformer. He's been very nice to us, very good to us. We appreciate it.
So I'll move that the Brattleboro Reformer be our paper of record.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, did I miss anything else?
I
I think so.
think so before either.
No, you thought of stuff I didn't pick up, so we're way ahead.
Okay, so now we can go to approve the minutes of the February 25th Select Board meeting.
I have two small items.
Okay?
Number 6. It says our streetlights will be replaced with LED bulbs. I think we were discussing it. I don't think we actually moved, did we?
No, we did not, because we were going to send the contract to Carol Mellis, our attorney.
Right, so we can say our streetlights, we are considering replacing.
Okay?
Does that make it fair?
Consider yes.
Therefore, the word, the savings with LED bulbs shouldn't be will be, but would be.
Okay.
Yep. And then on number 8, it says Mary Turnout's application's been received. Which application was that? I cannot remember.
That was the property to subdivide?
Oh, that was for the subdivision.
Subdivision.
Okay, so maybe we should put that as
Subdivision.
application for to subdivide a property. But it was really his application to us or to the state?
It's to the state, and we just get a copy
Okay,
of it. It's
so-
just for so that we'll know what's going on, for our information.
Mary's application to the state for subdivision. I guess for property subdivision.
Number 10, I would clarify a little bit by saying construction inspection services for the sidewalks project. Just so we know what
Okay.
that is for.
Are there any other corrections or omissions?
I make a motion we accept the Monday, the February 25th minutes as amended, corrected.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Okay, number 2 is to review and approve select board pay orders. Number 3, review and approve highway transfer station listers library and office timesheets. Number 4, time for public concerns. Mrs. Flower, do you have any public concerns? No? Okay. All right, update on the street lights. As discussion with the board, I sent the application to Karen Ellis, our attorney, and she reviewed it over. She left me a message that she had, but when I got back to her, she was not there. But the only thing I would like to find out is on part of the contract, it says, it was the part that it was going to cost, I had it on my,
Did this come out to us through an email?
through an email,
Yeah, I read
yes.
that. I think I know what you're
Okay,
looking for.
I had it in red on my computer. No, I don't. Okay. The customer agrees to lease certain efficiency improvements in the town of Jamaica, which are described in the attached scope of efficiency improvements to assist the customer with the installation of these efficiency improvements. Efficiency Vermont agrees to provide $2,082 in incentives, which will be paid in cash to the customer in accordance with the provisions specified in the attached terms and conditions of the agreement. Let's see. And then there's one part where it says that if it goes over that price, that the town is responsible for any further costs. I still would like to find out a little bit more about, is it going to just cost that $2,000 that Vermont Efficiency is going to reimburse us, or pay, they give us the money and we send it to Green Mountain Power? I just hate to get a bill for $5,000 to finish the project.
I think you're on the right track. The phrasing on that sentence makes it sound as if we have a responsibility to make some changes.
Right.
But they're not clear. And it's not clear about the cost.
It isn't.
And then they said they'll give us another $2,000 to perhaps offset some of the cost, but I'd like to know what the rest of it was before we make a decision.
Right, that's why I wanted to talk some more to Carol Mellis on this and to clarify that.
That one sentence does have that little fuzz factor in there.
Right, and if we do go through with it, then we have to go, when we're not happy, we have to go through arbitration. And so I'd like to do a little bit more research on it, on the agreement part, to make sure that we don't get
Yes.
a huge bill.
Zach.
Yeah, I
Right.
think we should get some dollar
think we-
figures up front.
I think we should be all right, but if we could talk to Green Mountain Power to see,
Yeah.
you know, how much is it going to cost for X amount of lights and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good idea.
I mean, it's only fair to our taxpayers to make sure we know what we're doing. Okay? Is everybody in agreement on that?
Yes.
All right. Now, we had sent over to you the town road and bridge standards to be approved. Has everybody had a chance to look at the old ones, compare the new ones to the old ones? Do we want to stick with the,
Can I offer a thought?
pardon?
I have a thought when I'm looking at these things.
Okay.
We're right in the middle of doing a lot of these closeouts for the process, for the FEMA process. And in it, we are having to make statements that we've complied with
These,
with the standards
that we've
of the
already
town.
adopted.
Correct. I'm not, as I read this, I'm not confident that what we've been saying exactly duplicates what the new one is. So my initial reaction is there a time frame that we have to operate on? Is there a clock ticking, or do we have time to let this, table this until we're through the closeouts? So I don't have to go back and rewrite the closeouts. But more importantly, re-examine them to make sure we phrased everything the same way in the paperwork. You may recall there was a long conversation over many months about whether we were adopting the 2011 standards versus 1990.
Right. I remember.
And so
And we finally,
because I'm rewriting these things, I don't want to go revisit that argument again unless we have to. If we don't have to do this right now, I'd like to table this until we've completed the closeout for the projects we have going on right now.
Although I suspect that that the 99 standards are applicable because that's what the standards we had in place at the time of the disaster.
Where we are, but now we're getting into the business of where we're starting to decide whether or not we're going to let's build the bridge of Goodyearville to what A&R wants, what hydrology wants. We're going to talk about that later on.
have we found out are there any differences in the standards?
The phrasing is different.
Some of the phrasing is
And
different?
I'm looking how this is, and I have not been able to go back and compare it to the way we phrase all the other
Okay.
things. I'm just afraid of doing something.
Okay, why don't we table
We'll
this?
table it till
Yep,
we
we
get-
can table
at least
this.
until we're
Get
finished
some
with
more
the closeouts.
information. Okay,
Yeah.
yep. I think we'll be fine
Just to
on that.
prevent something from going south.
Yeah, because we're doing a good job right now.
We're so far.
We're getting there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Table. Let's see, before we go to the next, number 7, our town clerk Pat had sent us a copy of the minutes from the meeting, town meeting.
Oh.
Did everybody have a chance to go through them?
I have them at home.
I did, and I didn't find any errors. There was a couple misspellings, but she took care of those with her spell check. So we'll have to, what is your pleasure on that? Do you want to?
Do we have to approve those minutes?
We have to approve the minutes, yes.
Does that need to be done tonight too?
Well, we could just look them over.
Sure.
Can look them over as we go. We can wait till
Right.
Sure.
I looked them over and I didn't find any errors.
I have faith.
Thanks.
I'm not sure about him. You have.
Okay, that's... Okay, number 6. Okay, we received correspondence from Elaine Murray. She owns property on 3719 Main Street, Route 30 in Jamaica. The first one was the snow removal. When we have our town meeting and our highway department clears the area, sometimes they put the snow on their property. They have for the last 50 years probably. She wouldn't like it dumped there, so before town, we got this on the 25th of February. I talked to Keith, our road foreman, and I said before town meeting, please don't, put the snow on her property. So I believe this issue has been resolved because the snow was not put on her property.
What did they do? Put it in the dump truck and move it and ship it away?
They took it somewhere else. I don't know what they did with it. So usually they just pile it up and just kind of put it over there because her property comes really close to the town hall.
Actually, there's an area between the town hall and her property, which is owned by the
Heinz's.
Heinz's.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if
It's probably on the Heinz's,
probably on
but,
Heinz's property.
but it was easier just to, just in case we were on her property on that one. So that one, that problem was hopefully solved. She hasn't called and I haven't heard since town meeting, so I believe we're okay.
And I understand her property is for sale, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So she's just trying to make
She's trying to make it look presentable, which I
Makes sense.
understand,
No,
yes.
I absolutely understand.
Yeah. And then her second request was, they own the property here in Jamaica, but they live in Townsend. She had a temporary permit when they sold her father's house, which is the one over here, to empty out the house and clean it out and take it up to our transfer station. Our policy is that we cannot receive garbage, is that the right word I want?
Waste.
Waste that has to go into our dumpster from another household, even though it's...
Our policy is that the trash needs to be generated in Jamaica.
Right.
In theory, a second homeowner who owns property here and comes up here for a weekend or a week or even for the whole winter is allowed to use the transfer station, but in theory is only supposed to be using or putting stuff in it that was actually generated here in Jamaica.
Right.
They're not allowed to bring their trash from New Jersey or New York or Connecticut or wherever. They aren't allowed to bring that trash up here and dispose of it in the transfer station.
So she feels that now that her house is cleaned out and stuff like that, she can use the bins because they're
She can always use the
recyclables, and which she does use, and then she brings in a garbage bag full and puts it in the dumpster. And we've asked her not to, but she feels because she owns property in Jamaica that she should be able to do this. Do you have any thoughts on that, anybody?
Haven't we discussed this before?
I think we have.
Concerning the sidewalks and...
Oh.
Isn't it something about she was...
Well, she had to give us sign easements and the like for the sidewalk, but that really has nothing.
But that has nothing to do with,
I thought we had a pretty
No.
much standard policy, the trash generated in Jamaica.
stays in Jamaica.
In Jamaica, but
Right.
just because you own property in Jamaica, it doesn't necessarily mean you import.
Right, and that's what
Right.
Lou was saying, that's because it costs, the more garbage we put into our dumpster, the more it costs our taxpayers.
I think the first, is we open that door, and then we have people bringing it up from everywhere.
Right,
We have a large percentage of our people here are second homeowners. We don't mind taking the debris generated by them at those facilities, but I'm not comfortable making it a policy whereby owning property means you can bring in
garbage from
garbage from
anywhere.
anywhere
Right,
else.
right, and I think we should stand by
I think
that
we should
policy.
stick that
I think we
policy.
should stand by that policy.
It doesn't matter whether it's a piece of land with a home on it or just a piece of land.
Right,
We've always, that's been our, we actually have, as part of our ordinance, we have a trash ordinance that actually states that as part of the law.
so Lou, do you want to contact
If you'd like me to.
Mrs. Murray and explain that to her again, maybe?
Yeah.
Or more, or maybe she didn't get it the first time when she was cleaning out her father's house, you know, because she was able to take all that trash out, but nobody's living in the house now, so there shouldn't be any trash generated from that home.
Oh, there's no rental or anything
No.
there?
No, it's an empty house for
Right,
sale.
I
Mhm.
understand that.
Yeah, in all circumstances, if she were to rent it out, then whoever generates it in that location
Right.
would have no problem. I just think if we open that door even a crack, then we have a massive flood that we're going to have to
Right.
deal with.
Well, the transfer attendant may have to start ripping bags open.
Well, I think, I think what happens is she doesn't have a permit. And if she doesn't have a permit, she's not allowed to
Right,
use the compactor.
okay.
So that's, okay, so we'll take care of that for us. Okay, I had some things come in that we can put on, they were in our box. It's on the, let's see, excess weight permits. And I will give you the names after I get through them, not on here. Okay, this one is from Gurney Brothers in North Springfield. It's the request to use our roads, and they have an excess weight permit application. And then we have one from A.S. Clark and Sons for an excess weight permit. And we have one from Camp Precast Concrete Products. And we do have one from P&L Trucking, but they're just asking to renew their permit. So I believe we have to send that, they have to fill out a new application. We just don't renew their permits. So I'll have our clerk notify them, tell them that they have to have a new application. She'll send them a new application to fill out on that. Okay, since Lou is going to be our contact person, I would like to have a motion that Lou sign the excess weight permits with the usual restrictions.
I think that's what we did last time.
Yeah, do we have a second?
Do you, noticing that Camp Precast is looking for maximum weight of 99,000. Do we know where that's going? Do we have any way of tracking it?
No,
I'll let you
I've
know.
always wondered about that too.
You know, we're going to give them permission to do, I mean, some roads are going to be able to tolerate it better than others. I was hearing somebody telling me the other day complaining about how South Hill Road got really beaten up badly back when they were hauling, when that was acting as Route 100.
Right. I believe the excess permit, they should know what roads that they can go on. Isn't that correct?
That's what Brian has always said, but if I'm going to sign it, I'd rather know a little bit more.
I don't know where they're going. If they're just trying to transit us here, that's one
Can
thing.
I'd like to recommend that we
Do you want to find out more further
table this
information?
until,
Okay,
I'd
we
like
can
to
do
talk
that.
to V-Trans. I'll give John Alexander a
Oh,
call
good, yeah.
Okay.
and ask him what his,
There are places in this town that, I think 99,000 pounds is probably pressing our luck.
Okay, all right, so we'll table that, those
three.
three, yes, and then
And
this
then
one is
in the
just
meantime, we'll send that
send
back.
up, yeah.
I have a question about logging during mud season. Isn't there a regulation that?
Yeah, most of the time, if towns are really concerned, they post the roads, but I think we've never posted our roads for no logging during mud season. I think what usually happens is we're on the lookout for it. If we see it, then we deal with it. But most loggers know not to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked Brian about that one a few years ago. I guess it's never been our policy to post them, although some towns do it, I noticed it other times.
Yeah. Fortunately, the ones that have been logging for about 6 months on Turkey Mountain, they were kind of yucking up the roads last week, but we noticed that the
Skidders are gone.
are gone now. So I think, but I was really concerned
Mhm.
that it was right at the edge.
Yeah.
Why don't, if you see that they're moving material, give me a call,
Okay.
and I'll make contact with them. You know the name of the company?
No, I do not.
Their wood is, what has not been brought out yet, is stacked in Ken Childs' yard,
Chase.
Chase's yard. So presumably they're going to truck it out.
That's just above,
Do you know who the owner of that land that was logged is?
It's a huge piece. It used to be Butler's land once upon a time.
long time,
Hmm?
long time ago.
Yeah, long time.
I guess that speaks to my concern about blanket permission for weight. We need to, I think maybe, and I'm especially sensitive after rebuilding of these roads and bridges for the last, year and a half. Making sure that we're not going to accidentally give somebody permission to trash something we just.
Okay, all right, so we'll table that and we'll talk to John Alexander from V-Trans and
I'll bring that
get
up.
more
as
information.
part of that conversation.
Okay, all right, thank you, Lou.
I'll see if I can find out those questions for you. Okay. Bob Stone, I think, will know
Or maybe Kenny Chase would know
Or
too.
Ken Chase, yeah, because he's actually let them use that
Right.
as the landing zone. As they call it, where,
Yeah, the next week or so, we're gonna have pretty warm weather. We'll
Yeah.
see who's got the next
yeah.
year.
That was. Okay, that's all I have. Lou, you have anything?
First, I just want to remind everybody about Wednesday night is that meeting in Londonderry.
Oh, that's right, too.
Scenic Byway.
Yes.
Oh,
So if anybody's interested, I'll go up. We can go up as a group, or we can meet there.
Yeah. So,
13.
13th of March, right?
oh, this week,
Right, 2 days, in 2 days, yeah.
okay.
What? For sure. I am, for sure. I was reminded of that this afternoon when I was in Brattleboro.
Okay, it's 31313. Okay, I'll let you know, Lou. I don't know if that's a fire meeting or not. I can't remember.
Okay. If anybody's interested in going, let me know.
Okay.
But I'll give you a call.
And it's at the Londonderry.
It's in London, I'm not sure what.
Isn't that the
what
town hall?
office
I
is.
mean, the town offices?
I'll find
I
out.
thought that's what you said.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Okay, Paul, do you have anything?
I do, actually. We were doing closeouts for 2 of the West Jamaica Road projects today with Mary Angus. And the conversation turned over time to the Goodydale Bridge Road. By the way, we did receive notification today that the Old Cheney improved project was approved.
Good.
Just got that today. They're working on the Goodydale Bridge improved project request. Anyway, talking about that, she brought a couple of really good points that need to be shared with the select board. And one was, we're discussing, we're still in flux. We still have not heard from Agency of Natural Resources. Okay, we still don't, we put some calls and we're still, now she's also trying to get hold. We really don't know what we can do of the 3 choices. So her point was that we're talking about spending the money to build a bridge to another town that will service the residents of another village, not Jamaica. And so she offered a couple of things. And one of the ideas was getting with the Londonderry Select Board and discussing how much they're interested in contributing to what's going to cost us ultimately to put the bridge in properly. To see if they are. If they're not, if they feel that that's not an issue for them, then it may not be an issue for us. So there's there's a discussion that ought to be had, I think, with Londonderry officials on that point. Because if that is valuable, it helps their people get to us. I
Right.
suppose our people get to us, and our people are already us. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The bridge literally takes us into the other town. So that was the conversation we had. So I told her that I'd bring it up to the select board tonight with the idea that perhaps we should make contact with the the Londonderry Select Board to have this conversation with them. Terry and I, or us, or someone
That makes sense.
goes to Londonderry and say, here's the situation. We're struggling about how we're going to pay for this bridge. If it's not making any difference to you guys, because you people are coming in your direction, if it is important to you, are you willing to help us pay for it? Because we're going to have a big amount of money we have to come up with that we don't have. Or if it's not, then let's say so and come up with another plan and do either an improved project or an alternate project. So that's kind of the conversation we had, and I want your thoughts on that.
I think that's a good idea.
The interesting thing about that is that there's a little chunk of, what's the name of the road at the end of Goodeyville Road? Cohen Road.
Cohen Road.
That's actually in Londonderry.
Oh, is it really?
And those people would probably be the most served by that bridge. Obviously, the closer you live to that bridge,
Yeah.
the more served. The farther the closer you are to Route 30, the easier it is for you to go to Route 30.
But isn't Cohen Road, doesn't that belong
Cohen
to
Road's on our
us?
side of the river.
Cohen Road,
There are some Londonderry homes in there.
homes
too.
in there too, but it kind of, because I know there's a couple people in Jamaica that live on Cohen Road.
Right, but
And
there
the
are
other-
some Londonderry people that live there too.
Oh.
But if they're Londonderry people and they have access to Cohen Road, they have access to 30.
Right,
They may not have access
but
to
if they're going to Londonderry Center,
Right.
Is there a back road around that other from Cole?
No.
That's it.
No,
You gotta get over the Whitehall River.
Right.
that's probably a problem.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes sense.
So there are a few people that actually live in Londonderry who would be affected if we do anything.
It seems to me that we at least ought to have this conversation with them.
Well, I
Well,
think
we had talked about this, and there was always something holding us up from contacting the officials.
For the longest time, we didn't know what we could do.
And what we
And it was hard to go to another agency, another town and say, well, we don't know what we're doing, but here's what we're not.
Suggested to us.
Yeah.
Right, this we have a
So
little
We
bit
might want to
more.
get them in on it.
I'd like to. At this point, we've got the two, it appears as though we're going to get permission for the improved project.
Okay.
And I don't remember if I mentioned it to you about this forum last time or not. We can't do an alternate project because an alternate project will not allow us to build another bridge in another location. We talked about the Sage Hill Road.
Right.
Because we cannot do an alternate project in a floodplain. However, we can do an improved project in a floodplain. So it gives us some more flexibility that, I didn't know that, so I researched it and came up with that. So we've got some options, but right now it looks like it will be, based on my phone conversation with the FEMA rep that was actually doing the work on the Goodale Bridge, it looks like it will be improved. I mean, the improved project will be approved,
Okay.
which will give us a couple $100,000, but we don't think A&R is going to let us do it that way. So the difference then becomes ours. And if this is a bridge process, and it's going to be expensive,
Right.
but if we can get some assistance from the other town, if they are really invested in this bridge, then perhaps that's the way to make it work.
Well, I think it's a good idea that we talk to the Select Board of Londonderry.
I'm just a little hesitant to talk to them until we have an approximate cost of what that bridge would
I
be.
thought we did.
Well, we got an approximate cost to the extent that we know there's a $260,000 approximately cap if we get the improved project. That's how much they've given us to do it wrong.
Right, but it's
Correct.
going to cost almost
But
$1
it'll
million,
cost us
isn't
a
it?
lot more, but we have not put it out to bid to know exactly how much more.
Do we have an
we can't-
engineer's estimate?
Well, we can't get the engineer's estimate without paying for an engineer to give us an estimate.
I
So the
thought
plan
they
is-
did that for us.
Not for this particular, because we didn't go out, we were going to try to look at a bid to build.
So we didn't have the engineers look at it at all?
Well, the bridge engineers, the hydraulic engineers looked at it, and they gave us their estimate, what they think, not the cost estimate. I don't remember exactly what CHA has put in for cost estimates on this one, but we've been held up, as they have, because we weren't sure what A&R was going to let us do, and they didn't want to spend a lot of money coming up with a plan A&R wasn't going to let us do. And then we just, topped
Well,
out.
I just hate to go to Londonderry and say, we think we're going to get
Yeah.
250,000.
Understand.
We think the whole thing is going to be $500,000, so therefore we're looking for $250,000 between the two towns.
Right.
Or if it's $1 million, then we're looking for $750,000 between two towns. So I don't know.
And more importantly, we don't know what it's going to be. We don't know how much of it we're going to have to put the bill for. There's a lot of unknowns. And this is why in the past, we kind of hedged around it. I guess I'm thinking at this point, again with the conversation with Mary, is to kind of go to them and get an idea.
My head's up.
Yeah, but I would think that CHA would know approximately, I mean, within $100,000 of what that thing's going to
I'll
cost.
probably ask them that.
Could tell us whether it's going to be $500,000 or a quarter or $750,000.
Because they've already done some engineering on it.
Well, what we've got is one of the things that Bob and I worked on some time ago was we know how much it's going to cost to replace the abutment that FEMA will let us replace.
Right.
Double it for the one they won't let us replace. Say it's going to cost us $100,000 for this chunk of concrete. It's a pretty good bet it's going to cost us $100,000 for this one.
Yeah.
So that ballparky kind of numbers we have.
Plus, we know with the steels, they should know what the span
Yeah.
will be because A&R was,
Yeah.
1.2 times the width. And then they would be able to estimate the cost of the steel and estimate the cost of the timber deck.
So why don't we get a little bit more information on that?
Yeah.
And it's still a good idea, once we have all
I
the
definitely
information,
But CHA should be able to give us something within
with a
$100,000.
very close
Yeah.
proximity.
We've got some ballpark numbers for stuff that they didn't want to narrow down because they didn't want to go and do all that work frankly, without our permission to do it
Right.
because of it's going to be expensive.
Is that bridge on Jamaica land?
The bridge is.
Okay,
Yes.
is that equivalent, and I'm going to throw this out, the bridge at the bottom of Main Street in Brattleboro, the one that goes over to New Hampshire, that's totally owned by New Hampshire.
I believe so.
Right. However, Vermont would have to pay their share of that replacement, because that's an issue right now.
Oh, I thought that the reason why it wasn't being built was because New Hampshire had given up.
That's correct. But if, had it gone through, Vermont would have had to have paid a share of that.
Even though it doesn't
Even
even
though it was all
land
belonged
on.
in New Hampshire, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I was wondering, you know, if what you're saying had any merit to it, they could say, well, we don't have any need to cross that river. It's just for Vermonters.
Well, I think in the Brattle, isn't that a state route that runs through there? It's connected New Hampshire to the Vermont state routes?
They're actually two separate routes. There's Vermont Route 119 and then there's...
Exactly, but they are state routes across that bridge. We're talking about a bridge that's a class, what's a class 3 road?
No, that doesn't make any difference. It's the as I see it, it's the concept
Yeah.
of saying, well, only Londonderry people will really be using it.
Sure. Oh, no, others will use it, I'm sure. The question is...
Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we can find that out too, the people who
Yeah.
live there. You know, we can do some more research on that too, but
Yeah. But I would like to...
money-wise,
I'd like to get a ballpark figure of what it's going to be before we go to...
That would make sense.
so we'll do some more research on that.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have anything else, Paul?
Anything else from Mary's discussion?
Well, we closed out WJR 3 and WJR 17 today.
And then she's coming back in a month.
We're coming back in a month to do some more. She has, instead of waiting until things are closed, like we only have those 2 projects that were done, she suggests we go ahead and start doing closeouts on projects that are 90% done. So that when they're finally done, we just have to write a couple, drop a couple additions and changes to the paperwork, and get that moving. So she would like to have us continue. She says, well, we've got the momentum going, and some of us define momentum differently.
So get that momentum going, let's get this show
That's
on the
4
road.
projects that are closed out now?
Well, two that are
Oh, I
closed.
thought we did 2 last time.
We did, and there was some issues with that one, so we had to come back and redo it.
So that's...
This was from last time.
Yeah,
These are the same 2 as you worked on
Yes.
last time? Okay.
Part of the difficulty we had, just to understand why it was, because so much of the work that was done in the early stages was not clearly identified. And FEMA said, we gave you several $1,000s for rocks and you only used several $100s or something. We were considered valuable because we pull rocks out of the water and move them to the location. They didn't cost us as much as if we'd gone and buy them from somebody's quarry. And well, give you an example. One of the items, they used a figure of $40 a cubic yard. We were paying 10. So the difference was pretty dramatic, and that was throwing them off. So we had to come up with an explanation of where they came from and how we charge the extraction, travel, and redistribution. And it was okay, she liked what we did, but that's what took us about. So we're getting smarter every time we do this. I figure by next fall we'll be so smart we'll just...
So how many projects are ready for closeout?
Well, just those 2, but we've got...
No, I mean, how many projects are ready for us to consider?
Oh, we've got, I think, 9, 8, we have 12 projects left, 8 or 9 of them are 90%. Don't quote me, but I think that's the right numbers for that. So there's enough for us to keep going, sadly, to the summer. But we're going to try to get those things organized so that when it finally does happen, it will be quicker to do.
Thank you.
That's all. Yeah, that's all.
Candy, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, I just want to thank the board again for a good year. It's been a hard couple of years, and I do appreciate you guys. I really, really do. You've done a lot of work. Each one of you in your own capacities has gone above and beyond what anybody else would ever do. They would have given up a long time ago.
You may get it. I do think, though, on that very topic, I think we should apologize to our viewers for not being nearly as interesting as some of the other towns. We're not battling with each other as much. We're not chewing on each other as much. Perhaps next year.
No, we'll always get along. We'll always get along, and I thank you very much. We have a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
And I thank Mr. Flower.
Yes.
Yes, thank
very
you.
much for always being here.
Thank our chair.
Oh,
No,
yes.
it's okay.
Oh,
This is
absolutely.
the one who's controlled our tempers and our egos and all the vitriol that would
Try to keep
normally
them
flow.
from getting spent.
Thank you, Alexa.
Thank you, folks. I really appreciate it. We need a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.